Hey, big head.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh,
So you already peeped the backdrop.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
So
That's the best thing I've ever made, by the way.
it is. I'm not gonna lie. But everybody that I interview, I try to have some piece of them in the backdrop, and this is the most. I mean, I love this. Obviously, I kept it for over 10 years, so it's something that I actually love,
Oh, I love it too.
and I kept it. His foot did break. That's why there is to keep him upright. But
That's hella fun.
yeah, but he's still, for the most part, 90% intact. So
Oh, I can't believe you kept it. Is there still a bird in the back of its head?
it is. I don't want to pick it up, but there is. It is.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. How you been holding up since the whole shutdown, quarantine, all that stuff?
Pretty good, I'd say. I think it's been like a year of a lot of self-reflection. Like,
Yeah, so you've been able to work on yourself through the whole shutdown, pretty much?
yeah, and to like agonizingly see where I need to work more on myself, you know?
You know what? That's great because, that's the beauty about life is that you can always learn and you can always grow. And I'm doing the same as well. I know you've known me since I was about 16, 17. So I'm still on the process of maturing and growing. So this is your first time being here. So I do appreciate you for accepting the offer and willing to be on my channel. So thank you for that, for sure.
Thank you. I've watched the other interviews, so I feel like I'm in a hot seat a little bit.
Not at all. Not at all. This is just an opportunity to get the people who admire you, which you have so many, to just get a better understanding of who you are and what do you represent and your whole upbringing. So this is your first time here, so we'll start from the very beginning. So you were born in Stockton, California.
I was.
You were, okay.
Born and raised, yeah.
And how was Stockton like in the late 90s, early 2000s?
I guess, I mean, in my life, I grew up kind of sheltered-ish, so I didn't, I wasn't like out in the streets in the 90s or anything. But it was still very diverse as it is now. But we had way more things to do in the 90s. I was always doing something. It was safe for me to be across the street at the park. I grew up across the street from Sandman Park on the north side. And so I was able to
Wait. Sandman Park, when I moved to Stockton, which is in 2000, that was a pretty rough park. So you're saying
it became rough.
In the 90s, it was good.
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was great. Like, that's where I spent a lot of my time. It's, I'd stay until my dad would whistle at me to come back home, me and my brother, and tell us to come home. But I was there when there was a murder that happened. And after that, it kind of just went downhill. That was when I was in 4th grade. So, yeah.
4th grade. Okay. Yeah. That's around the time. Yeah. It started picking up. Yeah. Starting kind of. So you live literally directly across the street, those little houses on the.
Yeah. Standing outside of my house, you could see the swing set and all of that. And a little over this way, you see the tennis courts and the basketball court, everything.
Oh, so I didn't know that. Okay, that's something I just learned. I did not know that. So, were you in a 1 or 2 parent household?
In a 2-parent household until about 6th-ish grade, 7th grade.
And then you lived with your mom or dad, or were you?
Yeah. Then I lived with. It's kind of confusing because for a part of the time at my house, my parents' house. I lived in the room with my mom, and then we moved out to my grandmother's house, and then to my aunt's house, and then my mom's she stacked up money, and then we got our own home. And then, yeah, but I lived from that point on. I pretty much lived out of a suitcase from 7th grade until I ended high school. I went from one house to the other, and I say I lived out of a suitcase because I never. Stayed at any one house long enough to unpack. It didn't make sense.
No, that makes. So what attested to all the moving? Was it financially? Maybe your mom couldn't support and then you had to move with your grandmother, and then what attested
I
to all the
think, um, I think it was my mom like saving up money, to be able to support us on her own, because growing up like with both of my parents, they've depended on each other. They had each other's income, and then obviously like they split up, and I had to, she wanted to have her own money and to do things on her own. My mom is a very driven person. Like as long as I've known her, she's like super independent. She does not like to ask for help kind of person. She'll just get it done and not complain for the most part along the way. But if she has a goal, she sticks to it until she gets it done.
That's strong. So pretty much she had to get rid of, I wouldn't say get rid of you, but obviously had to kind of pass you off temporarily till she got on her feet and became more independent. Is pretty much what you're saying.
No, even through all of that, we were still like half the time at my mom's, half the time at my dad's.
Awesome.
So even through all of that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's beautiful. Do you think that rubbed off on you? Do you think you get that driven desire?
Yeah.
From her?
Yeah, definitely. I think and me and her have talked about this, I think in both positive ways and ways where we could both improve, like it's not a weakness to ask for help. I've had to learn that in my adult years, to like put my pride to the side and my ego to the side and know like like people enjoy like the joy I get from helping people. Like, why would I deprive somebody else of that from helping me, Right. And, but it takes a while to get there.
I hear you. But as long as you get there, that's
eventually.
Yeah. And then the journey after that is just, chapters in the journey. So that's great that you actually got there. So how many siblings? Are you an only child or what?
No, I have a little brother and I have an older brother. And when I was 19, sorry, you might hear my cat running around. And when I was 19, I found out I had an older sister. And so, yeah.
Wait, I grew up. So is this is like from your dad that he.
Yeah. Well, he found out he found out maybe a couple weeks before we found out,
About both of them or just the daughter?
About the daughter. My older brother, I used to see my older brother a lot. Like growing up, we never lived together. He lived with his mom and his grandma.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Are you guys pretty close?
Me and my younger brother are really close.
Okay, but not the other two.
Not as much. No.
Okay,
but but we do talk and stuff.
Awesome. So, would you consider yourself? I know we just kind of touched briefly on it, but would you consider yourself upper class, middle, lower? What would you say?
I would say modestly middle class. I would say middle class.
Middle class.
Yeah, I would say like for part of my life, I definitely knew what it felt like to live in middle class, and then I also know what it feels like to struggle and see my parents struggle, and so.
So you got so you got to experience both. So the two parent household aspect, where maybe you didn't have everything you wanted, but you had everything you need. To kind of being on the bottom of the pyramid and kind of.
I did have free and reduced lunch though. You know what I mean? So.
I never got that. I always wanted that. I never got that. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing. So what would you say was the hardest part about growing up at this time? Was it the separation of your parents? Was it the from middle class to lower class, the moving around? What would you say was the hardest part?
So I think for me, like my parents separating had a bigger toll on me than I thought it ever did. Like growing up, I looked around and it was kind of the norm for like parents to be split up actually, or like people not to have a 2-parent household.
Right.
Like growing up and when I was in elementary school, in middle school, like there was this thing called the Banana Splits Club, which is like
I don't know what that is. But okay.
Well, it's this place that I don't know. Were you ever in GATE? Because I was in that too, like the GATE program.
No, that's for smart people. But I always wanted to go in GATE though. I was close, but I never made it. No.
Well, GATE. So it's the kind of like that where you get these kids that get pulled out of class. except for the banana splits were kids whose parents were like split up or divorced or divorcing. And we did like a group therapy thing. And like, so I never really understood how much that impacted me, but I think it really did, especially because, well, I love my parents. We never talked about our feelings at all, you know, like at our homes at all. My dad or my mom, we kind of always just kept it pushing, like that whole, you do what you got to do and that's it. But we don't really talk about how we feel, or let's pause and, you know, like, how's Jazzy doing? how's Taylor doing? You know, there wasn't really much of that. So I guess that definitely hurt my spirit growing up.
Yeah, more than
I ever could have thought. Yeah.
And does that still kind of linger on with you, or have you been able to amend that?
It definitely does. There's reminiscences of it that I see all the time in my life, like feeling not good enough, feeling like I have to perform, or I have to, you know, do this, or, you know, I don't know. Like I got the most attention at home when I did well. I didn't want to be like, you know, bad, but I ended up being bad because I wanted to, like, you know, shut my feelings down a lot of the time. But I felt like I put this huge expectation on myself that I had to be this perfect something to deserve love. And that definitely plays a part in my life to this day.